You might think you clicked on this message by pure coincidence, just another random video appearing as you scroll. But have you ever paused to consider that some moments arrive precisely when you need them most? Perhaps life isn't quite as random as you've been led to believe. Perhaps there's an invisible thread quietly guiding you toward exactly what you must hear, exactly when you're ready to hear it. Have you ever felt lost, uncertain, and disconnected? Wondering if you're too late or falling behind in your own life's journey? Strangely enough, that exact feeling of confusion is often the starting point of your deepest transformation. Just when you find yourself standing between who you used to be and who you're becoming, you might feel as if you've lost your way. But what if this unsettling in-between space isn't something to fear, but the precise moment you begin awakening to your truest self? Carl Jung once called this phenomenon synchronicity, the mysterious alignment of people, events, and messages appearing exactly at the time you're truly ready to understand them. Maybe this message is a subtle sign, a small, quiet checkpoint, arriving to gently remind you that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, even if nothing makes sense right now. Pause and reflect deeply on this question. Have you ever considered that the events you label as random might actually be life's whispers, guiding you gently toward a deeper understanding of who you really are? Have you noticed moments where something seemingly small, a sentence, a random conversation, a brief encounter, arrived precisely when you needed clarity the most? If you're hearing these words now, perhaps you're standing on the threshold of profound change. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear next might be the very insight you've unknowingly waited for. The subtle turning point that quietly shifts everything within you. Life doesn't move by chance, it moves by synchronicity. Have you ever noticed that at certain pivotal moments, something appears in your life exactly when you need it most? Perhaps it was a book handed to you right when confusion consumed you, a single sentence spoken by a stranger precisely when doubt filled your heart, or even a subtle sign that gave you clarity during your darkest hour. These moments aren't random, they're life's invisible thread, quietly guiding you toward exactly what you need, precisely when you are ready to receive it. It's as though the universe places gentle markers along your path, silent affirmations whispering, "You're exactly where you're meant to be." Think back carefully. Have you ever encountered coincidences so meaningful, so precise, that you questioned if they could truly be accidental? Yet despite this guiding presence, there are moments when clarity seems distant and the future uncertain. You find yourself in an ambiguous place, a stage of life Carl Jung described as a period of profound transformation. It's the space in between who you once were and who you're about to become. Maybe you've experienced leaving a long-held job that once defined you, or stepping away from a relationship that provided stability but not authenticity. Suddenly you're caught in a strange, uncertain state. No longer the person you once identified as, yet not fully sure who you're evolving into. Like standing at the threshold of two worlds, one familiar but limiting, the other unknown but deeply promising. Have you ever felt uncomfortable or even fearful in this ambiguous space without realizing that this uncertainty is precisely the fertile ground for profound change? The reality is that most people resist these in-between moments. They fear uncertainty and they avoid the silence because silence can amplify feelings of emptiness. But here lies the irony. True awakening does not happen in loud, dramatic shifts. It begins quietly, in subtle moments and small whispers. Maybe it's a video you stumbled upon unexpectedly, a casual conversation, or a random phrase that resonates deeply at the precise moment you're open enough to truly hear it. These small, quiet encounters plant seeds deep within you, seeds that have been quietly waiting for the right moment to sprout. Have you ever recognized that real awakening doesn't come from major life events, but rather from these gentle, almost unnoticed moments of clarity. This quiet awakening begins with awareness. Awareness isn't about chasing change externally, nor is it about controlling the future. It's about seeing yourself clearly, perhaps for the first time. It occurs in those brief moments when you finally stop reacting according to old patterns, when you stop striving to please others, and instead pause to listen deeply to your inner voice. Imagine a woman who, after years of seeking external validation, suddenly decides she no longer wishes to perform for others' approval. The moment she truly sees herself, something within her shifts profoundly. Awareness acts like an invisible mirror, reflecting the authentic self that she had unknowingly buried beneath layers of societal expectations. This mirror doesn't simply reflect who she thinks she is. It reveals who she truly is, who she's always been beneath the surface. Have you ever noticed how the more you try to please others, the further you drift from your authentic self? Awareness is subtle yet transformative. It isn't about becoming someone entirely new. It's about returning to the truest, most authentic version of yourself. The self you once set aside to fulfill others' expectations. True healing isn't dramatic like a sudden lightning strike. It's gentle, gradual, and often invisible to others at first. But once it begins, it creates an unstoppable shift. You no longer react impulsively. You no longer fear letting go of identities and expectations that no longer resonate with you. Instead, you start embracing a life grounded in authenticity, quietly building the courage to live according to your own rhythm rather than external pressures. Pause for a moment and consider this deeply. Have you ever caught yourself wondering whether your newfound sense of self is genuine or somehow mistaken? Have you ever felt a subtle fear that by choosing yourself you might disappoint others or lose their approval? This internal questioning, uncomfortable as it may be, is precisely the space from which true growth emerges. You begin to recognize that the journey toward healing, toward becoming your authentic self, isn't marked by external achievements or validation. It's defined by a quiet internal shift, a transformation that happens beneath the surface, almost unnoticed by anyone except you. The quiet presence of awareness, the deep and gentle knowing within, is your anchor. Not external approval, not control over outcomes, but simply being fully present in your experience. Life doesn't measure your progress with grades or deadlines. It moves to a rhythm uniquely yours. You're not behind, you're not lost. You're precisely where you need to be, even when it doesn't seem that way. So, reflect gently yet honestly on this. Have you ever realized that these quiet, ambiguous moments, the ones you may fear or resist, are actually signals of your deepest transformation? Have you ever considered that your uncertainty isn't a flaw, but an invitation, an essential part of your path toward true self-discovery? Right now, in this quiet, reflective space, recognize that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Everything you're experiencing is purposeful, guiding you gently and clearly toward your authentic self. This moment right here is your invitation to pause, listen deeply, and trust the subtle, invisible thread guiding you toward your next step. When you step back and truly look at your life, have you ever noticed the quiet yet persistent anxiety that tells you you're somehow running behind, that you're late to your own journey and everyone else seems to be ahead? Maybe you fear you missed the moment that could have changed everything, or worry you're not progressing quickly enough toward your true self. But pause right now and consider something profound. What if the idea that you're late or lost is merely an illusion? What if your uncertainty, discomfort, and even your fear of being behind are actually clear signs that you're exactly where you're supposed to be? See, true awakening isn't some dramatic lightning strike that instantly transforms your entire reality. It doesn't burst forth loudly or dramatically, shattering everything around you. Instead, awakening moves like a quiet breath, subtle, gentle, and almost invisible. It arrives slowly, sometimes uncomfortably, guiding you gently to deeper awareness. Imagine for a moment that your journey toward discovering your authentic self is less like a sudden storm and more like the gradual blooming of a seed planted deep within you, growing silently beneath the surface until you're finally prepared to see it. Have you ever recognized how the moments of your deepest transformation didn't begin in loud revelations, but rather in quiet realizations, when you simply started noticing patterns you previously overlooked? Maybe it was when you reacted differently to a familiar situation, or the moment you said no without feeling guilty, or even when you chose yourself for the first time without seeking external validation. Those moments aren't flashy, but they signify something crucial: the beginning of genuine awakening. Reflect honestly. How many times have you judged yourself harshly, believing you're too late, too slow, or not enough? How often have you believed that everyone around you had somehow figured out their path while you remain wandering, uncertain, and seemingly behind? But what if that perceived delay wasn't failure or weakness? What if it was precisely the rhythm your life needed, exactly when it needed it? Life, after all, doesn't measure your progress by arbitrary timelines or societal expectations. It moves according to your own unique rhythm. You're never behind. You're always exactly where you're meant to be, even if you don't yet fully understand it. Consider this analogy deeply. Imagine your life as a carefully orchestrated symphony. Each note, each pause, each silence, everything has meaning. Even moments of confusion and uncertainty play a vital role, leading you precisely to the clarity and depth you're ultimately seeking. Your life isn't about racing toward a finish line. It's about honoring the quiet pauses, embracing the moments of stillness, and recognizing that true growth happens silently beneath the surface. Ask yourself, have you been mistaking the quietness and uncertainty in your life as signs of stagnation rather than as evidence of profound internal shifts? What if this moment right now is exactly the turning point you've been unconsciously preparing for? What if the discomfort you're experiencing isn't a setback, but a subtle invitation to finally step closer to your authentic self? Imagine standing at the edge of two worlds, one familiar but limiting, the other unknown but filled with possibility. You're no longer the person you used to be, but perhaps you're uncertain of who you're becoming. This ambiguous space feels unsettling, even frightening. Yet paradoxically, it's exactly where meaningful transformation occurs. It's precisely in these quiet, seemingly empty spaces that you begin to shed the layers you've built up over years, layers formed by others' expectations, societal standards, and your own conditioned beliefs. Have you ever considered that what you're experiencing now is not confusion or stagnation, but rather a quiet period of profound inner preparation? The subtle discomfort you feel is a quiet whisper from your deeper self, telling you that you're ready to move forward, ready to let go of the old narrative, ready to begin something authentic and new. Think of your awakening not as a single dramatic moment, but as a gentle shift in awareness, a quiet recognition of who you've always been beneath the surface. Just as a plant doesn't suddenly burst forth from the ground fully formed, your inner growth is similarly gentle, patient, and deeply intentional. It moves silently, carefully, unfolding exactly when you're ready. Now reflect deeply on this crucial question. Have you been unnecessarily harsh with yourself, believing you're late, lost, or behind, when in reality you're exactly in sync with your own life's unique rhythm? Could it be that every moment you've labeled as delay, confusion, or emptiness was actually a necessary checkpoint, guiding you precisely toward the person you're truly meant to become? The anxiety and uncertainty you feel aren't barriers, they're gentle nudges, quiet signals from within, reminding you that you're ready for transformation. Your fear of being late is simply an illusion, that blinds you to your true inner progress. Recognizing this truth is profoundly liberating. You haven't missed your moment. Your moment is right now. You are exactly where you need to be, exactly when you need to be here. The quiet tension you experience is the very doorway leading you toward deeper self-awareness, authenticity, and healing. So pause and embrace this understanding fully. You're not late, you're not lost, you're not behind. You're precisely on time. Your life isn't measured by external timelines. It's unfolding perfectly according to your own internal rhythm. And as you move forward, remember this quiet, powerful truth. True awakening doesn't arrive as a loud disruption, but as a gentle breath, a subtle shift, and a quiet recognition of who you have always been. You're not late, you're not lost, you're exactly where you're meant to be right now. Have you ever paused long enough to realize that the confusion and uncertainty you're experiencing aren't signs of failure, but clear signals of deep, silent transformation? Often, the moments you feel the most disconnected, unsure, or even fearful are exactly when meaningful change begins to unfold within you. Consider carefully, how many times has something seemingly random appeared exactly when you needed it most? Perhaps it was a message, a conversation, or a subtle sign that shifted your perspective right when you felt lost. Carl Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, a quiet guiding force that places you precisely where you're supposed to be, exactly at the right moment. Think about your life now. You're no longer who you once were, yet not fully clear about who you're becoming. This in-between space can feel uncomfortable, even frightening. But it's in this uncertain space, this quiet pause, that real awakening begins. Transformation rarely arrives as a dramatic event. It happens gently, quietly, almost unnoticed, within your awareness. Have you recognized these small, subtle shifts occurring silently inside you? Maybe you've stopped reacting as you used to. Maybe you finally said no without guilt or let go without fear. These quiet moments are the real turning points. Ask yourself honestly, are you willing to stop running, stop chasing, stop controlling, and simply begin listening deeply to yourself? You're not behind. Life isn't measuring your progress by external timelines. Your awakening is happening exactly as it should. Softly, clearly, precisely now. Take a moment and truly feel this truth. Everything you've experienced has led you here. Trust your path. Trust your timing. You're exactly where you need to be.